And well, hello there, everybody. And I got a couple of questions the other day asking about my van build. Okay, and I'm pretty happy about it. Whenever somebody sort of messages me and says, "Hey, you know what? XYZ123, what's this about?" Okay, I'm going to talk a bit louder because what I did the past couple of days was I rerouted my my heater, the part where the heat comes out. I guess it would be called the duct, right? I, I had a video called the silver duct. That's what I started calling it, the silver duct, because it's silver and it's a duct, and the heat comes out. Makes sense, right? Anyway, somebody was asking me. Um, well, before I forget, so it might be a bit loud. So I'm going to attempt to talk a bit louder, a little clearer. Somebody had also said, some parts of some of my videos, the audio is inconsistent, and they would be absolutely correct. The audio is inconsistent. Everything I shoot via my phone, which is also my way of communicating, which is also my way of getting internet and getting information, posting videos, do everything on my phone. I don't think maybe I made two videos when I started. Made two videos, YouTube videos on a desktop, but everything right now, as of like literally a year ago or more than a year ago, is everything done on my phone. So, yeah, okay, so let's get back to this question that I got earlier, um, a couple of days ago or something. And they said to me, hey, they were wondering whether they should get a minivan or whether they should get a transit or a sprinter where you can actually stand up in. And my viewpoint is, uh, one, obviously depends on your level of comfort. I mean, if it's a kind of thing where it's going to be difficult for you to sort of sit down cross-legged, or sort of you need to stand up all the time, which is normal, right? Or if you must be standing up all the time, then I always say, get where you're going to be comfortable. It also depends how much time you're going to be spending in your vehicle. For example, for me, I work full time. I've been incredibly fortunate to have a home base. Some people just don't have that. And, they're literally full time in their van. They're literally living full time in their van. And I can imagine how that could be. And at that point, it may be a good idea to get sort of like a high roof or a high top where you can actually stand up in, and that's where a Sprinter van or a ProMaster, which is one of my favorites, but unfortunately I've been hearing so many things about ProMasters and how problematic they are. It's starting to scare me. However, it might just be all hearsay. I don't really know, but I've been checking out the forums. So I always say, do your research. Everything I'm saying here is sort of what I found out. My word is not gospel by any means. It's just something. Here's what I know. Here's what I read about. Unless I have firsthand experience about it, I wouldn't actually say that I'm an expert, or take some that adds some weight to what I'm saying. In my case here, one thing that I'm getting pretty good at is diesel heaters. I'm starting to recognize what the error codes mean. I'm starting to recognize what I could do so that it works a bit better. So little things like that. I've got some tips and tricks on that, which I think I put in another video before. But going back to, again, to that question, was the question was, what's it like having a minivan versus allowing yourself to, or rather getting a high roof where you can stand up. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. I ran out of storage space on my phone. Ideally, that's not going to happen again. I just cleared off some space. So what was I saying again? Oh yes, what is the difference between being in a minivan and being in like a ProMaster or something where you're actually being able to stand up? One, I've never had a ProMaster or a vehicle where I was actually able to stand up in. My first-hand experience is a minivan. I would imagine it'd be much more comfortable in many ways, but at the same time, you're sort of trading off that comfort with most likely a higher payment on your car if you're paying monthly, or it's just going to be that much more expensive. Rather, in your van, it's going to be that much more expensive. The other thing is gas and mileage. And I did make a video about why it's a good idea to have a minivan. For my circumstances right now, for my particular lifestyle and where and what I want to do, a minivan is the way to go. But you can be sure at some point I will be looking at maybe something a little larger, especially if I'm going to be spending a long trip out west, which a lot of you guys already know if you've subscribed. I've always talked about this. If you're new, one of my goals is to be able to head out west with my minivan. And it would be great if I could have that happen. Okay, so I will answer the question where, what's it like being in your minivan? And it's actually very similar to probably an experience most of you have had if you've ever been camping. It's sort of like being in a small tent. That's all it is, right? Except your tent is a metallic tent. Now, this one here, it's not a metallic tent. And all I did here was I created this cabin atmosphere. And I will tell you, this has been my fortress of solitude. And I always mention it, and I completely love it. So if you could spend time in a little pup tent or in a small tent, then you could do this. Now, the reality is I spend more of my time outside of my van than I do inside of my van. It really depends. Like, for example, for today, it's Sunday. I just drove out here and I'm just literally just catching up on my messages, catching up on some of my social media, catching up on what I need to do and my planning as well, and just trying to relax as much as possible. So, trail running as well. In the summertime, I like to run trails. I like to walk trails. I like to be out of my van. It's really just an area where there's people out there. It's really just an area where a place to relax. And also, if I'm at a trailhead, maybe after a long run, I would have a place to actually rest. And that's all I have to say about that. So, pretty simple answer, right? Just think of it as a small pup tent. But wait, I've got a bit more. I can also have these wonderful little cushions. And I know for me, I've stayed at a tent before. I've gone camping. And to me, this is far more comfortable. It also has electricity and lights and a diesel heater, so you're not freezing so much. So think of it as a tent, but a lot more comfortable and more private. And I think more protection as well from the elements and also from bears. Not that I've ever had any experiences with bears, but you never know, right? I mean, I would rather be in like a minivan like this than in a tent if a bear decided to say hi to me or something. Okay, so that's about it. I hope that kind of answered your question. This video is one of the weirdest videos I've made. It's just gone all over the place, but that's okay because sometimes life is like that. You're thinking you're going to be going north, then after a while you're going like west, okay? And then maybe a bit of east, and then south, then north. It's sort of like a barrage of stuff, and this video turned out that way. Sometimes, we all have our intentions and plans, and it never works out. And hopefully, there's enough of you and enough motivation in you to sort of just roll with the punches, as it were. I never understood what that meant, roll with the punches. And I think what it means is, I'm imagining that it has something to do with boxing, or someone punching you. I mean, if you stood there and just was stern and somebody punched you, you would absorb that entire punch. But if someone was sort of like about to hit you or is punching you, and you sort of rolled with that, so that you sort of went with, or you rolled with the punch, they would effectively miss you. And if they did hit you, the impact wouldn't be so great. So maybe that's what it means. I actually don't know. I've yet to Google it. It's just something I just thought about right now, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Yes, the tangent group strikes again. Okay guys, we're done. And once again, if you think this video was helpful, if you think it's worthy, please subscribe. if you like the video, please, I would really appreciate it. And one thing I always say is always remind yourself you're awesome. You could do stuff, you could plan it out, you know, just like I attempted to plan this video. But to me, it's so important to make that attempt, to try. And obviously, it's always fun and amazing if you get it done. But I always believe there's a greater good, a greater thing when you actually try. Even if you fail, you've always learned something. And with that, I'm going to finish the video. Thank you very much. You guys are really awesome.